Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, and welcome to the Go Pro Fantasy Show. I am the Fantasy Geek, mediocre host, but top-notch fantasy owner. We've got a lot to get to this week, so I will keep the pleasantries to a minimum. We're going to have our first PFFL Tier 1 owner interview. We're going to be talking to Colin Mills. Right now, I'm currently waiting for Colin to call in. Call in. Get it? Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to skip ahead, and we're going to jump into the Tier 1 action. And then when Colin calls, we will go to him. Oh, you know what? He just jumped on right now. So we're going to go to him now. Colin. Nope. Here we go. Colin.
Oh. Hi, Fantasy Geek.
How are you?
I'm great. We were going to maybe go hiking today, but it's a little foggy, so we're staying in and cleaning up the yard instead.
Ah, okay. Well, I was going to give you a grand intro, but that got a little bit butchered, so I'm going to give you that now. You may know him from the Waiver Wire Watch column on the PFFL, and he's also the owner of Tier 1 Imports, Colin Mills. There you go.
Where's the applause? Come on, where's the applause?
Oh, wait, I got it.
The fake laugh track. Okay.
I've got it. I have to, let's see here. I haven't gotten my switchboard down. You just get the mild applause for now. We'll see by the end of the interview if you can up the ante. All right, so let's get into it. You are our first PFFL owner on. We had the commissioner on a couple weeks ago. Now we're going to talk to you, which I think will be a some nice insight for the listeners. You are the coach of Tier 1 Imports. I love the name, by the way. I like how you incorporated the tier into it. I'm a big fan of that. And let's start off right now with your Week 5 matchup. You had a tough game against Mr. Miyagi's dojo, and you attempted to stay perfect on the season. Needed a 10 spot from Owen Daniels on Monday Night Football. And he came through for you, didn't make you wait, scored in the first quarter. So how does it feel to be the only unbeaten team in Tier 1 of the PFFL?
You know, it's first of all, it's a great feeling. I mean, 5-0, just from a personal standpoint, I feel, hey, I could lose 2 in a row, I could lose 3 in a row, and still be 5-3, still be kind of, hanging around in the division and still have a good chance to make the playoffs. So it's nice to have a little bit of a buffer, but at the same time, it's bittersweet because the guy I played started Vincent Jackson on a bye. So you never really want to see that in Tier 1. Mr. Miyagi's dojo, I got to call him out right here because really I won by 3 points with a lucky showing from Daniels on Monday night, and he started a guy on a bye. So you figure he could have picked somebody up. He didn't have anybody on his roster to plug in, but you figure he could have picked somebody up and gotten 4 points. So if the competitor in me feels like I sort of got really lucky, but the realist in me loves $2,000, and I'll take 5-0 in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I would be happy to win. If the other guys don't come full strength, hey, that's on them. But, yeah, it's funny you should mention that because I have a rant later on where I'm going to tear into some of the owners. That Vincent Jackson situation wasn't the only poor management we saw this week in Tier 1. So
no kidding.
Guys are supposed to be the best, but we're not seeing it right now.
Yeah, I completely agree. So rant all you want. I will listen and nod.
All right. So many owners have more than one PFFL squad. Do you have more than one? And if you do, tell us about those other teams and where they are in the standings.
I do. I have a Tier 1, which is a Tier 1 imports. I have a Tier 2, which used to be Flamin' Yawn, which is sort of a play on words, Flamin' Yawn, but whatever. It's kind of dumb. I got a bunch of crap from my friends. What does that even mean? It's stupid. So I changed it to the little punctuation mark it is now, which I'll let everybody just, if they really want, to look at it and sort of tell me what they think it is. But it looks like an exclamation point in brackets, but sort of a little more crude than that. So anyway, we'll leave it there. But that's my Tier 2 team. I have two Tier 3 teams, Hella Good, which is on the rebound, and Nocturnal Emission, which before last week was 4-0 in the 7th-ranked power team, but I laid an egg against King Hippo with a couple guys in a bye, so I fell quite a few spots and got a loss.
That'll happen. But It sounds like you're overall having a pretty good season. A little birdie told me that your wife also competes in the PFFL. And, in fact, as you updated my statistic yesterday, as of week 5, she is number 1 in the power rankings across the league. So tell us, do you lean on her for advice? Is that why all your teams are so good?
We have a good fantasy relationship. I've obviously played longer than she has. We've been married for 5 years, together for 8 or 9, and she got into it because of me, kind of, and she has really blossomed. We do some work leagues together, baseball and football, and she's always solid. She's never near the bottom. She's never won anything, but she's placed, she's moneyed, and she's very into it. And this is her first auction this year, first ever auction. She just got a couple tips from me, looked at a couple magazines, some mock drafts. She stayed true to what she wanted to do, and she just ended up getting one of the best teams I have ever seen, especially in a 12-team league. So we talk about it. She needs a kicker this week, and so we're going to look at some guys, but she's got her eye on people, and she's very independent. She does really well, and I'm proud of her.
Well, who better to ask than the author of the Waiver Wire Watch? So, you should be able to hook her up with some good kicking options. I used to be in fantasy leagues with my wife. I tried to get her into fantasy baseball many years ago. And when ultimately she beat me in our Fantasy World Series, that's kind of when I put an end to it. I just couldn't handle it. She beat me by like one stolen base on the final day of the season, and I was just like, all right, can't have that. No, she wanted to retire. She wanted to go out a winner. So
very good, very
that
good.
That was the end of that. But it goes to show that anybody can win if you just hit all the right strides and your team gets hot at the right time. So even if
totally.
you are if you're 0-5 in the PFFL, it's not looking great, but you're not completely out of it. Until you're mathematically eliminated, you should be going all out. Yeah,
that's why we have the waiver wire. Your free agent budget. If this week coming up, if you're hurting, if you don't have any running back depth or receiver depth, there's some guys out there. So blow your load on the waiver wire. Try to make something happen. 0-5. You can still go technically 9-5. There's 14 regular season weeks. I mean, we got people that quit checking after 0-3. I'm like, come on, start to, the numbers aren't dead yet.
Yeah, that remaining fab budget you have there doesn't go into your pocket. You don't get a refund, so you might as well spend it. All right. So, how did you find out about the PFFL, and what's your history with the league?
Well, the commissioner, Paul, wonderful commish with the beautiful idea of the PFFL. We are in another league together for the last 12 years. It's a travel league. It's a very special league, very, very elite, very high contribution value. You have to do recaps every week. If you're the commissioner that week, we run a free agent chat. We do all this live stuff where you're really, really involved in the league. And so I've known Paul since I joined the league, and he was almost a founding member. His brother was one of the founding members of this league, and so Paul jumped on, I think, in year 2. I jumped on in year 4. So I've known him for a long time through this other league, and we've, of course, become great friends, and he's a great dude, and we have a lot of good times together and on these draft weekends that we do. And so naturally he told me about this idea that he's had for a while, and I was totally on board. And I know lots of people. I have lots of friends that like football, and so I guess I'm sort of the PFFL midwife, because I've spawned so many owners, from me branching out and telling people about it. So I've recruited quite a few people, and so Paul. No, I'm not saying Paul owes me, but I at least have his ear, and I can say, hey, buddy, remember, I got half of these guys. Come on.
That's right. Well, he calls you the midwife of the PFFL, so
right.
Congratulations on that title. No, but it's nice to have your contribution, and I like reading your stuff, and we appreciate having you on. Before you go, we have a few more questions here. I have to hit my quota of one real-life question. So what do you do in your not-so-spare time? You said the other day when we were in contact that you were working until 4 a.m. So is that the night shift at the morgue, or what are you doing for a living?
It's not far removed from the morgue, I suppose, and if you want to get technical, I am a supervisor at a 911 center. We dispatch for police. Yeah, we dispatch for police, fire, medical for about 700,000 people up here in King County. I won't say too much more than that, I'm sure. I'm sure it's not the best thing that I have Monday Night Football on in our comm room while emergencies are happening, but you know what? If we have TVs, and I'm the boss at night, so I get to watch what I want. So I was very, very pleased to have Owen Daniels score that touchdown while I was in the comm room, almost jumping up and down cheering while somebody was probably getting CPR or giving CPR to their 80-year-old mother or something. But, we all deal with it the way we can. I've been there 11 years. My wife worked there, too, and we're all a little bit desensitized to that kind of thing. You know how it works. So, gotta get your joy when you can in a sometimes stressful, negative environment.
Yes. No, that's good that you keep it light in there, because it probably can get a little bit depressing at times. So, yay for fantasy football. Okay, yeah. So you're the author, like I have mentioned before, of the Waiver Wire Watch. So who are your favorite pickups in this week's column? Let's get into some free agents that can help the listeners out.
Yeah, well, before I continue, I do have to say that this is a joint effort, the Waiver Wire Watch, with me and Joe Moline. He's Daiwu Lanos and all his 6. He actually has 6 teams. He's even crazier than I am.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, he takes 6 guys. I take 6 guys every week, and we organize them into the 3 tiers of the Waiver Wire Watch. And so, this week actually for the first time it has there's some big dollar guys out there. First, I throw out Alex Green for the Green Bay Packers. Cedric Benson's out 8 weeks with a Elise Frank foot sprain. So Alex Green, I think, he looked really good last week. I think he had 50 yards, 9 carries, or something like that, and it's pretty explosive. So I'm thinking he's worth some big dollars, especially for those people that don't have a lot of running back depth. And so that's where I would certainly start is Alex Green for the Packers.
Yeah, I could see some good yardage there. Touchdowns for running backs are always hard to come by in Green Bay with John Kuhn and Rodgers snaking them. But, he could definitely be worthy of like a flex spot, if nothing else.
Yeah, I guess you're probably hoping for 75, 80 yards, and maybe he busts a 20-yard touchdown or takes a screen pass. You're right, Green Bay's not kind to running backs, but again, Cedric Benson, I don't think he's ever been good. And so, I don't think you can get too much worse with his backup. And then you got the Arizona situation where Ryan Williams, who also sucked, is out for the year. Beanie Wells is on IR. So you got Larod Stevens Howling. Is that like a fantasy character? I don't know. And then some guy named Antonio, or I don't know. I don't know what the backup
Powell
is. I'm trying to.
There's William Powell, and then there's another guy. I can't even remember right now.
I know. I think his first name starts
Alfonso Smith.
Alfonso Smith. That's it. Yeah.
I don't know how I know that. I think I actually owned him in a deep league last year, which is pretty pathetic.
Yeah, that's solid. I think you should pick him up again just because you know him. He's familiar. Maybe he gets 8 touchdowns on goal line plunges this year.
With that offensive line, I don't think any of those guys are going to really help out too much. They may be worth owning just in case, but I don't know. Howling, I hear that Arizona doesn't really see him as a every down back. So that guy William Powell might be. You might see him on early downs, and then Howling would be your third down back. But yeah, not loving that situation.
I don't either, and you get guys all excited about people in the NFC West, and I actually made a trade in Tier 2. I got Matt Schaub, but I gave up Steven Jackson. Well, people are like, oh my God, you gave up a starting running back for a backup QB because I had Romo on a bye. You're stupid. I'm like, really? Steven Jackson is in the NFC West. He will be lucky to get 50 yards a game in 6 games out of the year against the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Niners. I mean, he's going to get stuffed. This defense is hell on running backs. It's really hell on everybody. You don't want anybody in the NFC West unless it's maybe a Niner or, Marshawn or somebody that maybe fits. It's a wasteland of fantasy. So, whatever. I guess if you need volume, pick up some of those Cardinals backs, but pretty tough to recommend them,
Yeah, it's just so amazing that you even say that, because just for so long the NFC West has been just kind of a joke of a division, and now all of a sudden they're rising up. So yeah, I kind of agree. Okay, yeah. So we kind of covered a couple of running backs. Any other positions? Any wide receivers that pop out? I know the Browns had a couple guys that put up some numbers, but you probably can't trust them because they are on the Browns.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know I haven't looked at officially yet, but you've got a guy like Greg Little. He's probably owned by most people. He's pretty explosive, but he can't catch. He's kind of like a Featherstone in Necessary Roughness, where they just bomb it to him all the time, and he just gets by everybody, but he can't catch it. So there's this guy, I think Josh Gordon is his name.
Right.
And he caught a couple nice passes. He's a quick dude. He's fast, and I'm not saying Whedon's great, but he does like to air it out every once in a while, with Richardson keeping defenses honest. I mean, we're in week 6. There's a lot of buys. If you're desperate, if you're looking for the bottom of the barrel and want to maybe hoping for a 50-yard TD, you got to go with guys like this, because there's really not much out in 12-team leagues. You really got to search. Yeah,
well, Brandon Whedon is hit and miss depending on the matchups. Like against the Giants, they don't have a great secondary, so you could see, perhaps some wide receivers breaking out. Jordan Norwood's the other wide receiver who had a good game.
Okay.
Greg Little,
right.
Yeah, that guy can't hold on to the ball. He's not worth owning at all. But, yeah, Jordan Norwood was targeted 9 times. Josh Gordon had the long touchdowns. I mean, somebody's got to catch the ball. So maybe one of those guys emerges. It might just be kind of a, pick them up, plant them on your bench, and see what happens if you've got the room.
Yeah. Well, and then I guess going back to the Packers, I haven't heard officially, but James Starks, again, it's a Packer running back, but supposedly he's healthy, but he's been a healthy scratch with that turf toe injury. They either hate him or he's going to just bust onto the scene with some yardage. So if you get Alex Green for 30, maybe you try to put in 5 for Starks and just go with the Packer handcuff, even though it's not a good idea. But sorry, that just popped into my head, and I thought I'd throw it out there for James Starks on the Packers.
No, he's a bit of a sleeper. I mean, he's shown flashes of being good before, and when he's finally healthy, say Alex Green fumbles once and drops a pass, maybe he suddenly gets benched and Starks takes over. So, yeah, I mean, he does have a little bit of a track record. So, definitely an interesting look. One other guy I kind of have as a super sleeper at this point, Javid Best, most people have given up on. He's about to come off the PUP list they're on a bye. The Lions are on a bye week 6. He'll be back in week 7. He's going to be tested for concussion symptoms, but I think he'll get the green light. I think they were just being extra careful with him. I got to be honest. I mean, I have on this podcast and pretty much everywhere I write, I've been pretty much shocked at the Lions that for just demoting Kevin Smith and making LaShore the man. I don't think Mikel LaShore is really all that good. I think he had a good game against the Titans, but then again, who doesn't? And I think if he continues to last game he played, he had 13 carries, 26 yards. If that should happen to continue, I think Best will actually get a shot. And if nothing else, he'll be a third down back. He's pretty explosive. He's had some really amazing games when he's healthy. So, I mean, it's definitely a long shot, but it's someone who you might want to take a chance on.
Yeah, I like Javid Best. He was last year. He was pretty much the most explosive player in fantasy until he went down with that concussion in week 7 or 8. I mean, he the dude can get you 200 yards, and he can get you 100 yards receiving on 3 catches, on 3 screen passes. He's super fast. But I don't know, the Lions play like a CFL offense, so any running back should have 4-man fronts, 5-man fronts at most. I mean, so if LeSure, if he can't turn, 13 carries into 45 or 50 yards, it's either a horrible line, horrible play calling, or he's just not that good. And I think you might be right. He just might not be that good. So come on, Javid. Week 7, make Daddy happy, because I'm actually going to put in a couple bids on him. So hopefully you didn't just ruin it there, Fantasy Geek. Thanks, buddy.
I know. Well, that's what happens. I asked you and I asked Paul for sleepers, and you guys are reluctant to give them up. But I still don't think people are going to take him seriously just because he gets hurt all the time. People won't trust him, and it depends on your team and your bench. But I think he's probably worth a slot at the end there if you've got an extra wide receiver who's doing jack. So
right. Well, maybe if you had Amendola, I don't know if you're probably going to waive him just because he's got 4 to 6 weeks. Maybe not, or if somebody like that. So if you've got anybody that's iffy and not that good, why not take a chance on a guy who could blow up? And that's what fantasy winners do. They take that $5 waiver pickup, or they take that $2 auction draft sleeper, and they turn him into a starter, and they end up running away with it. So if you want to win, you gotta grab guys like Javid Best. Then if he doesn't come off the PUP list, you drop him, and maybe you wasted $10 or $15 and kicking yourself. But I mean, risk reward, man. You talk about the reward, big time. Yeah,
could be. He could hit huge. All right, so I got to move on. Didn't just looked up at the clock here, and we've taken up quite a bit of time, but that's good. It's all good discussion. But I will give you, since you are our first Tier 1 owner to come on the show, first dibs on laying down some smack to the rest of the Tier 1 league. So take a moment to instill some fear.
Well, you look up and you see 5-0, and that's scary right away. You see the number 5 power ranking, you realize you're dealing with some pretty heavy thunder. But then you look at the team. RG3's hurt a little bit. I know I'm maybe a little vulnerable now with RG3. I might need another quarterback. So I think some teams are looking at my squad going, come on, Turner can't keep it up. Ridley can't keep it up. All this stuff. Don't even think I'm vulnerable. This team is going to weather the storm. I'm going to keep rolling. I like to give Team Kizzle, who is Sam Kinger, I like to give him a little shout out for benching Jamal Charles a couple weeks ago and allowing me to win. Maybe it's the perfect storm for Tier 1 imports. Maybe I'm getting lucky with my opponent's rosters. It's true. I can't deny it. But that's what champions do. They take advantage of opportunity. They make their own luck. I'm making my own luck, and I'm going to blaze the trail right to that $2,000. Woo! It's going to be sweet.
That is, for just a $20 investment, you can't beat that. So stay tuned. I think you're going to like what you hear when I list out the top 12 poll for Week 5.
All right.
But as far as the interview goes, I think that'll put a cap on it. Thank you so much for coming on. You've been entertaining. I wish you the best of luck down the stretch, and keep that undefeated dream alive.
Thanks, Fantasy Geek. I appreciate it. Keep up the good work. I really like listening to your stuff every week. It's good.
All right, great. Thanks again, Colin. See you later.
Yep. Bye.
Bye. All right, that was Colin Mills, owner of Tier 1 Imports, moving to 5-0 this week. You can, again, catch him on the Waiver Wire Watch column with Joe Malene. Apparently I've been pronouncing it incorrectly. So, that's at, by the way, the-pffl.com. All right, let's get into the regular content. I'm running a little low on time, so I'm going to speed through this. I'll streamline it for you. Okay, the results, Tier 1, Week 5, Team Kizzle went off 124 points against Confused Octopi. I always say that. Confused Octopi, 86. Finally, someone in Tier 1 is showing some skills. Team Kizzle set the bar with the highest score of the season in Tier 1, thanks to Reggie Wayne and Marcus Colston, the two best Week 5 receivers. The Octopi had a respectable total, but Demarius Thomas and Brandon Marshall could only manage honorable mention. They both had good weeks, but not quite as good as Wayne and Colston. The Germaniacs, 86, Jurassic Pork, 67. There could be a QB controversy brewing for the Germs. Christian Ponder put up solid 19 points in place of Tony Romo. Jurassic Pork left it in park with Des Bryant in the lineup despite a bye. Again, that rant's coming. These guys are not playing their best lineups, and it's pretty embarrassing for Tier 1. All right, so we talked about already the Tier 1 Imports victory over Mr. Miyagi's Dojo. That final score was 86-83. Daulanos 79, illegal touching just 48. Yikes. This was a mismatch on paper, on the computer screen, and on the fantasy field of play. Matty Ice and Percy Harvin did some damage for Daewoo. For illegal touching, where do you begin? James Jones on your bench beat all your active players. Teddy KGB 74, Insanity Escape 62. 3 players in this entire matchup were even worth a score to piss. Teddy had 2 of them, Rogers and Vic Cruz. Insanity had nothing after Ahmad Bradshaw. So this is your classic case of 2 is better than 1. Renton Rain Dogs 70, Seattle Seahanks 67. This was close and kind of an ugly slugfest heading into Sunday Night Football. Drew Brees created some separation for the Rain Dogs with 29 points, so it was up to Arian Foster to bring the Seahanks back on Monday Night Football. He came very close, but fell just short. P.S. Seahanks, Lance Moore was ruled out long before this game even started. You might have wanted to leave him on the bench. All right, so those are the recaps. Let's get into the poll and see how the voters weighed in for the Tier 1 Top 12 poll for Week 5. Number 12, still illegal touching, a new low, -1 point combined from your 2 running backs. Wow. Jurassic Pork 11, 0-5, stick a fork in the pork. Number 10 is Sanity Escape. If Jimmy Graham goes down for an extended period of time, you might as well put the straitjacket back on. Number 9, Mr. Miyagi's Dojo 1-4, leaving Vincent Jackson on the bench was a move of sheer ineptitude. Number 8, Renton Rain Dogs 3-2. You should feel pretty soggy about getting a win with just 70 points, but a win is a win. Number 7, Seattle Seahanks. How the mighty have fallen. As predicted, the Hanks would tank. The Hanks tanked once the buys began. Number 6, Germaniacs 3-2. What? You benched Jermichael? That's blasphemy. Your team's named after the dude. Number 5, Daewoo Lanus 3-2. Don't get too cocky. That win was like beating up on the Tennessee Titans. Number 4, Confused Octopi 4-1. The Octopi occupy the top slot no longer. The loss knocks them all the way down to number 4. Number 3, Team Kizzle. Click send because you're sending a message to the entire league. 124 points. Pretty nice. Number 2, Teddy KGB. Bonus points for incorporating. Oh, that's the same comment I had from last week. I keep doing that. Anyway, a nice win for Teddy KGB. Not the highest score, but getting the job done moves you up to number 2. And your drum roll. No surprises here, really. The number 1 team in all the land, Tier 1 Imports 5-0. Jim Rome has his Jungle Karma, and we have GoPro Magic. If you come on the show, your team will perform. All right, let's shift it up like Barry Sanders behind the line of scrimmage and get into the news, notes, and nonsense. Just a few storylines to hit. The Colts pull off a wild upset over the Packers. I guess you could say they got lucky. We wish Coach Pagano, who was diagnosed with leukemia, a speedy recovery. And the Patriots set a franchise record for first downs, and I think Willis McGahee set a Denver franchise record for screw-ups in one game. The Bears defense scores 4 touchdowns in 2 games. Aren't you glad you weren't playing against them in the PFFL? There's one built-in bonus of having no defenses. All right, time for the players who got it done for you in Week 5, the all-work team. Quarterback Drew Brees. The Saints suck, but Brees doesn't. Running back Ahmad Bradshaw. Yes, you can drop Andre Brown now. Running back Arian Foster. You get what you paid for in the auction so far. Wide receiver Marcus Colston. 3 touchdowns and 100-plus yards made him the stud of the week. Another wide receiver, Reggie Wayne, jumped in the DeLorean and went back to 2006 with those stats. A flex player was Victor Cruz, a trio of touchdowns and lots of Latin dancing. Your tight end, Tony Gonzalez, the Hall of Famer, can still dominate. And your kicker, Blair Walsh, he's looking much better than Blair from the Facts of Life these days. All right, let's move on to the Jerk Store, or the All Jerk team.
Well, the Jerk Store called, and they're running out of you.
Thank you, George. Your quarterback, RG3, I usually don't put injured players in here because they got hurt. That's usually enough of an excuse that they aren't jerks, but he really was doing nothing before the concussion, and not sure he was going to put up much of a point total anyway. Your running back, no surprise here, Chris Johnson, of course. Their second running back, D'Angelo Williams, nothing like a -1 to ruin your week. Wide receiver, Andre Johnson, he's bustier than Dolly Parton right now. Jordy Nelson, another wide receiver. His owners are still shaking their fists at James Jones. Your flex player in the All Jerk team is Mike Wallace. The dude from 60 Minutes with the same name could have put up 1 fantasy point as well. Your tight end, oh God, this guy's killing me. Antonio Gates. Antonio Goats. That was a Freudian slip. He has been a goat. Can I drop this guy yet? Almost. I'm thinking about it. Your kicker, Rob Baronis. Owners of this guy should have picked up Greg Zerline a couple weeks ago. All right, we already covered Inked and Axed with Colin. Didn't really get into the Axed, but mostly the injured guys are the guys you're going to be dropping. So we'll move right into bumps, bruises, strains, and sprains. We got a few bad ones this week. Robert Griffin III, as we mentioned, a mild concussion. They're saying mild. I actually think he might play this week. As for how effective he'll be, I'm not sure. Cedric Benson had that Liz Frank. That's going to cost him probably 8 weeks. We discussed the guys to pick up in his stead, as we did with Ryan Williams. You can say goodbye to that 2 yards per carry for the year. He wasn't really helping you out much anyway, so not much of a loss there. Okay, let's put a bow on the show with the 2-minute drill. This week, I've got 2 rants for you. I guess you could say it's the bitching corner times 2. So as we mentioned earlier, I'm going to get into the lineup setting difficulties that Tier 1 owners are having right now. What's with all these guys leaving players on bye in their lineups, or even injured players for that matter? You guys are supposed to be pros. You're not even worthy of the Canadian semi-pro fantasy football league, let alone the professional fantasy football league. So get your act together. I guarantee there are Tier 2 owners just salivating, ready to take your spot. I know, because I'm one of them. All right, finally, I have a bone to pick with Trent Dilfer. Normally, I'm fine with his analysis, but he said something on Sunday that really ticked me off. So you probably heard about the fans in Kansas City cheering Matt Castle's injury, right? Well, Dilfer blamed the negativity on gamblers and fantasy owners. He said these types of football fans are responsible for the subhuman reaction of the KC crowd. Are you kidding me, Dilfer? How dumb can you be? First of all, if you knew anything about fantasy football, you know that Matt Castle is nowhere near anyone's roster, let alone starting lineup. He's terrible. And it's not like owners are knocking each other down to pick up Brady Quinn. Like, what do they have to gain by cheering Castle getting hurt? It makes no sense. And gamblers, what do they care if Castle goes down? They mostly care about scores, not players, unless they had a Brady Quinn prop bet. Highly unlikely. Nope, the douchebags who cheered when Castle went down were the non-fantasy playing, non-gambling homers who root for the Chiefs with all their might because there's little else to do in Kansas City. They were tired of seeing their team get trounced week after week. They expressed their frustration as fans of the team. Trent Dilfer, you are the Go Pro Prick of the Week. All right, on that note, show's over. You know the drill. If you want more fantasy goodness, head over to the-PFFL.com for podcasts by John Hampton and Josh Martin, plus great articles by guys like Colin and Joe. Thanks, Colin, by the way, for coming on the show. Keep that undefeated dream alive. You can follow us at Twitter at _PFFL, and you can like the show on Blog Talk Radio. That way you'll be reminded when it's coming on. We've tried to keep it to Tuesdays, middle of the day. Had to shift the times around a little bit, so that'll keep you in the know. Until next week, kick some ass in Week 6. Geek out.